At 7 p.m. on August 21, 1955, in Christiane, Kentucky, USA, the Langford family, nearly 11 members, were gathering to prepare dinner as usual. None of them could imagine that in just a few minutes, a series of inexplicable phenomena would strike.
A confrontation lasting hours with an unnamed entity, far beyond the scientific understanding of the time.
So, what was that strange presence? Why did it become one of the most controversial alien encounter cases in modern history? It was a stuffy summer evening, with family members busy setting the dining table. Billy Ray Taylor,
41 years old, went out to draw water.
There, he unexpectedly saw a strange object, flickering on the horizon, silently gliding across the sky from the southwest. Its appearance looked like a washtub-shaped object, glowing brightly like the colors of a rainbow. Just seconds later, the object suddenly stopped in midair, then slowly descended behind a deep ravine about 12 meters away, where dense trees grew thickly.
At that time, stories of spaceships and extraterrestrial beings were no longer unfamiliar in newspapers or on the radio.
Therefore, Billy immediately suspected he had witnessed something not of this world. He quickly returned inside to inform everyone.
However, his account was immediately dismissed as nonsense, making everyone laugh.
But about 45 minutes later, as the last light of dusk faded, the whole family suddenly heard the dog outside barking fiercely. Billy and Elmer, 25 years old, immediately stepped out onto the back porch to check. They saw the dog panicking and running away, hiding under the house.
Looking toward the area where the strange object had landed, the two young men saw a peculiar light moving slowly through the dense trees.
It was a glowing creature, human-like in shape but standing about 75 centimeters to no more than 1.2 meters tall. Its head was bald, unusually large, with no clear neck connecting to the body.
Its eyes glowed bright yellow, large and set far apart, giving an even more abnormal impression than a normal person. Its arms hung long, nearly touching the ground, with large fingers hanging in curved claws like iron hooks. On its head, there were even large, soft ears drooping down on both sides. Billy described the nose as cone-shaped, tapering forward, with a small round tip.
Some women in the house testified that they saw no nose, though they admitted the glowing eyes made it hard to focus on other details.
The upper body of the creature was said to be more robust than the lower part. The legs, in contrast, were very stiff and inflexible, leading witnesses to suspect they were merely for balance.
As the strange entity moved closer, its steps became odd, as if wading through thick water. Some witnesses thought its feet resembled hoof-like shapes. They also claimed the creature might be made of metal or wearing some silver clothing, making its shape shimmer and glisten. Mrs. Langford later described it as looking like a 5-gallon can with a head on top and small legs, covered in a shiny exterior like a kitchen refrigerator. Even the sketches released by investigators later were so accurate that the woman didn't want to see it again. Some other witnesses also admitted the astonishing accuracy, but others gave conflicting opinions, leading to various illustrated versions. As the creature approached the house, feeling threatened, the men inside grabbed guns and fired. But strangely, after being hit, it only tumbled backward, stood up, and dashed into the night without injury or bleeding. At that point, they realized that although the creature seemed weak and hard to move, its arms were very agile, allowing it to move at incredible speed. According to Mrs. Langford, initially, the women in the house thought it was a prank until one of them had difficulty. They panicked after witnessing everything firsthand. From that moment, everyone became serious, and the 3 children were immediately hidden under the bed.
The men returned inside, barricaded themselves, and waited in tension. Suddenly, the face of that strange creature appeared outside the living room window.
The men immediately fired guns, shooting through the window, but it tumbled to dodge the bullets, then quickly disappeared.
At this point, Billy opened the door to check the situation and was unexpectedly grabbed by the hair and pulled by a hand from the roof.
Fortunately, someone quickly pulled him back in.
Lucky immediately reacted, aiming the gun straight at the roof and firing a shot. Once again, the bullet hit the target, and the creature rolled off the roof.
Witnesses recounted that the sound of the bullet impact was like hitting a metal bucket, but the fight didn't stop. Billy shouted that there was another one crouching on a nearby tree. He and Elmer shot, causing the creature to fall, but suddenly it landed gently as if gliding. They fired again, but the stranger still escaped without any sign of injury.
At the same time, another entity circled around the side of the house, approached Elmer, and raised its hands high in a posture seen before.
Later, Mrs. Langford suggested that the action might have been a form of greeting.
Elmer didn't hesitate, firing another shot.
But as before, the creature quickly tumbled and escaped. According to witnesses, their skin or outer armor emitted a faint light, a phenomenon believed to be caused by moonlight reflecting off the metallic surface.
However, this luminescence seemed to intensify each time the creatures were hit by bullets or heard screams.
Later press speculated there were 12 to 15 individuals.
But original investigation reports indicated only a few individuals existed, capable of moving at extraordinary speeds. As soon as they realized pursuit was futile, the Langford family immediately returned home and barricaded themselves inside.
The front porch and backyard lights were turned on.
They quickly noticed these creatures avoided light and always sought darker places to hide.
Then they occasionally peeked through windows, as if playing an excessive game of hide and seek before finally disappearing.
Notably, despite frequent appearances, the strange creatures never attempted to break in. The entire incident was said to last about 3 to 4 hours, though the exact duration remains unverified.
Some witnesses claimed the creature touched the child's hair around 8 to 9 p.m. while Mrs. Langford recalled that situation occurring closer to 10:30 p.m. They also weren't sure exactly how many shots were fired, but by the end, the brothers had used up an entire box of ammunition. Around 11 p.m., the group decided to leave the house to report to the police by car. Upon reaching the station, they rushed in and excitedly recounted their story. Though uncertain if this was true, authorities didn't detect any signs of deception or pranking from the group.
All genuinely appeared. A police officer with medical training confirmed clear signs of shock in Billy Ray Tyler. When measured, his heart rate reached 140 beats per minute, double the normal rate.
Regardless of how strange the event was, multiple unknown individuals surrounding a house and being shot at for hours without harm couldn't be taken lightly. Immediately, 16 local police officers, including 4 military police personnel, were dispatched to the scene.
Strangely, one officer reported seeing 2 meteors streak across the sky while en route to the scene. He described the sound as booming like cannon fire and claimed they flew in the opposite direction of suspicion. Authorities monitored the scene until about 2 a.m., with the atmosphere constantly tense.
The witness family refused to re-enter until every corner was thoroughly checked.
In the field where the strange creatures were allegedly shot, officers discovered a glowing patch of grass about 40 centimeters in diameter.
But upon closer inspection, it wasn't significantly different from surrounding areas, only appearing brighter from certain angles.
Others also claimed to see faint blue streaks of light on the trees.
Police confirmed the area clearly showed evidence of gun use, with shell casings scattered in the yard and window frames damaged.
Beyond these details, they found no evidence of a strange creature's presence.
Around 2:15 a.m., police left and promised to return the next morning. But at dawn, those creatures appeared again.
Mrs. Langford saw one standing outside the window with glowing eyes, its nose pressing against the glass. She immediately woke the other family members. Upon hearing the strange creatures had returned, Alan angrily fired his gun at the target.
But the result remained the same. They were unharmed, disappeared, and continued reappearing. The stranger was last seen around 4:45 a.m., or possibly 5:15 a.m.
The next morning, officers returned for further investigation.
Some even climbed onto the roof looking for footprints. But once again, they discovered nothing beyond witness accounts.
Though merely verbal accounts, all matched up with strange consistency.
Days later, the story spread across America, with many details quickly distorted and embellished. Another example from Evansville, Indiana, referred to the strange creatures as little blue men. Little green men. People began flocking to the house to explore the area themselves, with numbers reaching thousands.
The witness family grew extremely weary of the disturbances, gradually fell silent, and avoided contact. Eventually they had to charge fees for visits, then were accused of profiting from a hoax.
Later everything settled down, and those creatures never returned. Ultimately, what really happened?
There's virtually no physical evidence related to the incident, nor clear traces of the strange creatures.
Almost everything we can collect is just the testimony of the witness group.
That investigation was not conducted methodically, possibly causing some important evidence to be missed.
Even after 7 decades, there is still no clear answer for everything.
Therefore, we are forced to rely on the testimonies of the witnesses. The family at Langford once attended labor classes in rural Kentucky and Pennsylvania. This information appears frequently in documents, but is used with 2 opposing arguments.
Some view this as evidence that they are simple, gullible, and prone to superstition. Conversely, many researchers cite this factor to reinforce the view that
they are all honest people, unlikely to fabricate stories to disturb public opinion.
When setting aside prejudice and focusing only on objective data,
the records show that this group fits the second image better. There are no signs indicating they intentionally fabricated fake incidents. Observations from government employees who had direct contact all lead to similar conclusions. They were all very honest and consistent. Researcher Robert Langwick once commented that 7 out of 11 gave almost matching testimonies. This uniformity in testimony would be difficult to achieve without thorough prior discussion.
However, it's noteworthy that 3 men in that group of 7 left the scene early in the morning,
and only returned after the incident had ended. The only exception lies in the detail related to the creature's nose as described by the witnesses. The argument refuting the hoax hypothesis is further strengthened because this group had no motive to create such a deception. They reported the incident immediately and appeared very annoyed by the excessive attention from public opinion.
Although they later charged visitors to the area, this was only a reluctant action to try to control the chaotic situation. Due to the many witnesses, some researchers suspect that the crowd interfered with their perception.
However, several police officers after thorough inspection found no signs of stimulants. And Mrs. Langford also confirmed that her family strictly prohibited alcoholic drinks.
So let's return to the starting point. What did Beauty Ray see in the sky? He described an object shaped like a cone or a bath bomb shooting up and leaving a brilliant trail with all rainbow colors. That object could have been a meteor.
It seems very reasonable, especially when a police officer on the way to the farm hours later also saw 2 luminous objects in the sky.
It's said that during the same period, many others witnessed the phenomenon of ice pellet rain.
Still, it cannot explain the strange subsequent development. After all, what exactly is the mystery that the witnesses describe?
Could it be traces of visitors from outside Earth? First, the height of these entities ranges from 75 centimeters to 1.2 meters with disproportionately large heads.
In many documents related to grace, the most mentioned alien beings are often described with enlarged heads, protruding foreheads, large glowing eyes, and strange gaits. Second, the entities in Cali did not exhibit normal movement structures. Long arms reaching the ground, stiff legs but still moving quickly, distinctly different from vertebrates on Earth.
Notably, when shot, witnesses heard sounds like hitting metal, leading to the hypothesis that they might have an outer structure similar to alloy and be wearing biological armor, a technology humanity hasn't accessed. Moreover, no animal on Earth has such immunity to weapons. But continuous shooting at close range without leaving any wounds is hard to accept. Even the behavior of somersaulting to dodge bullets in an unnatural way further reinforces the notion that this creature has reflexes far exceeding the reaction speed of any known organic being. They appeared multiple times, constantly interacting with humans but never attempted to intrude or harm anyone.
Superficially, they only aim to observe, react, or check the environment. That is very characteristic behavior of a species with superior intelligence, not the survival instinct of wild animals.
Another detail is the reaction of raising hands and approaching, interpreted as their way of sending peaceful signals or a purposeful non-verbal expression. In many other reports worldwide, aliens often use this gesture to communicate instead of speech like us.
The strange beings also emitted reflective light, like metal even in darkness.
Due to reflective clothing or equipment, it. Unlike wild animals that feel fear when facing artificial electric lights, they showed avoidance behavior, as if following a pre-programmed safety observation procedure.
Nevertheless, some researchers still question the authenticity of the testimony. However, when compared with hundreds of other cases, the Kentucky incident stands out for its large number of witnesses, consistent descriptions, and no signs of deception.
For decades afterward, the Langford family remained steadfast in their testimony. Even as they passed away one by one,
the story was passed down to their descendants.
However, the scientific community did not believe it. Many researchers skeptical of paranormal phenomena like Brian Danning and Joe Nickell argued that the creature was merely the great horned owl common in North America.
They share similarities with the creature described by witnesses: long ears, large yellow eyes, sharp claws, and a face difficult to clearly identify. Perhaps the witnesses observed the owl walking on the ground before soaring into the sky. This detail also explains the ability of the strange creatures to hover and easily land on rooftops or treetops. The emitted light was likely just a reflection effect from the bird's eyes under moonlight. The action of raising hands to the sky described by witnesses was simply the flapping of wings for defense or an illusion when viewed from a distance. While this theory is reasonable in some aspects, it also has serious flaws. First, this animal does not glow at night. On the contrary, they are excellent at camouflage.
The group of witnesses were all rural farmers from Kentucky, living near the forest. It's hard to believe that all of them could not recognize an owl over 4 to 5 hours. Moreover, the incident occurred at 8 p.m. in August in Kentucky, when twilight still lingered.
Not to mention, they themselves said the creatures approached while the porch light was still on. Although fear can distort perception, to this extent it is difficult to understand.
Furthermore, the strange objects were described as very quiet. While owls can fly silently, when angry they still make sounds.
Other hypotheses were also proposed. such as raccoons, pandas, bear cubs, or even exotic animals like monkeys. The U.S. police, the unit investigating the case, concluded in 1957 that the creature was monkeys with silver fur all over their bodies. They had escaped from a circus that had passed through the area not long before.
But in reality, there is no evidence confirming that. However, if not aliens or wild animals, could those strangers be mechanical devices from the nearby Fort Campbell military base? Perhaps at that time, they were conducting tests, night training, or testing new unpublished technology. But this idea was quickly dismissed, and witnesses considered it just an illusion of those trying to rationalize the event.
It is merely an illusion of those trying to rationalize the event. While it might explain objects in the sky, this theory completely ignores the most important part:
the hours-long gunfight with the strange creatures.
Moreover, if it were truly the military, they would have tried to keep it secret rather than attacking a farm in such a bizarre manner. There is no reason for US soldiers to disguise themselves and attack civilians' homes.
It's hard to believe that a house in a quiet rural area became the center of a strange phenomenon lasting all night by unknown creatures, without any clear purpose. Therefore, no analysis has yet provided a completely satisfactory explanation for that series of anomalies.
It is precisely the unverifiability, along with the contradiction between personal memories and the script, that has made the Cowley Hospital case one of the most prominent mysteries in UFO history in the United States. Ultimately, the only thing that can be affirmed is that no one knows what truly happened on the night of August 21, 1955. At Mr. Glenn E. Langford's farm, and perhaps the truth will forever remain beyond the reach of modern science.
Thank you for watching this fascinating video.